What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're here with some PGA DFS picks and lineup advice for FanDuel and DraftKings. Lineup strategies, everything you need for the 2023 Sentry Tournament of Champions. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. And if you're new here, welcome. If you've been around for a while, you may notice that this is one of the first PGA videos that we've done in a while. Last year, we did live streams for each of the majors, but this year, our plan is to do a PGA video every single week. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to get notified when these videos are uploaded every single Wednesday. And what the plan is for these videos is we'll talk about the weather impacts for each individual tournament, how that impacts our player pool. We'll talk about the betting markets, really get a sense of who's getting action in the betting markets, how that impacts our DFS play. We'll talk about some of the chalk, who's the good chalk, who's the bad chalk, based on a variety of factors. And then, as it's very important for winning tournaments, those players under 5% projected ownership, I'll give some of my favorite plays in that realm as well. Now, a little bit different. This first tournament is only 39 golfers. Rory has withdrawn. So just 39, no cut. So strategies change a little bit. And again, we're not going to go super in depth in these videos, 10, 15 minutes long each week. We will talk about the things I discussed. We're not going to go very in depth on strategies, won't cover every single golfer. So all the tools that I bring up on screen are from occupyfantasy.com. Make sure you check those out. And that's where you can get all of the information you need for PGA DFS. So let's jump into it and let's talk about, I guess before we talk about the first segment here, the weather, if you're new, you might have a question. Why should I listen to you, Brian? Why should I be listening to you and your PGA DFS advice? Well, it's a good question. So last year, this was my biggest win last year in PGA DFS. Let's bring it up on Twitter. Just over $200,000 in winnings. This was at the Open. God bless Cam Smith and Cam Young, the Cam duo, helped me out there. Qualified 6 or 7 times for the DraftKings World Championship for PGA. Let's not talk about how those entries did in the championship, but have high level success. I risk a lot of money in PGA DFS, and I've had great success playing it using the strategies that we'll talk about in these videos and the tools we discussed at OccupyFantasy.com. So got the credibility out of the way. Let's go back to DraftKings. Let's talk about the weather. Generally, the weather does have a major impact in how we play DFS. However, this week, it's not going to play a major part, at least not in classic contests. Let's bring up Wind Finder here. This is windfinder.com. And really in-depth look at not only just the average wind speed, but wind gust as well. And you can look at it by hour, by different time groups. This is a great sense to see if the morning golfers, the afternoon golfers have a big advantage. And Thursday through Friday, there looks to be no major edge, maybe a slight advantage to guys who are teeing off Friday morning. But again, very negligible. On the weekend, maybe we'll see something, but the forecast changes pretty quickly. And monitor this up until lock on Thursday afternoon. But as of right now, it doesn't look like that we'll be determining our player pool or making drastic changes to our player pool based on the weather. However, for showdown contests, make sure you monitor it because maybe Saturday morning or Sunday morning we get a big change and early guys have an advantage or later guys have an advantage. So be sure to check Windfinder or whatever weather source you use to get the update information. All right, let's go back to DraftKings here. And let's talk about the betting markets. This is the big reason I wanted to do this show every Wednesday to give some context. A lot of the plays I play in my personal DFS lineups are impacted heavily by the betting markets. Our golf writer, Niramata, does a great job every Wednesday afternoon updating our daily plug with betting market information. And really, this is a big factor, and I think it's overlooked by a lot of PGA DFS players. And we'll see some big betting market movements on Tuesday, Wednesday, and sometimes even Thursday morning. And those guys stay under 10% owned. And those are the biggest edges you can have in DFS. So let me transition here. Nice little, if you've been around for a while, you probably noticed the different template here on screen. Shout out to Eric, who's been doing our NBA videos, helped me out with the templates. So doing these new templates for PGA. But really what I like to look at whose odds to win or whose matchups have changed drastically since Monday, basically. And there are various sports books out there, obviously. And I like to look at 3 or 4 sharp sports books who are sharp in the golf action that they take. They're sharp in different ways. They move lines in different ways, but because we've been studying them for the past 3 or 4 seasons, we know when a move happens at which sports book, what it means. So, so write this down. These are the important guys this week. We looking at these sports books. Normally, there are a couple of guys that have an overlap that are hit at every single book every week, and those are the guys we definitely want to get into our DFS lineups. They perform well over expectation. This week, there isn't any golfer, at least not yet. This could change by Thursday afternoon. There isn't any golfer that's been hit at all the sharp sports books. But there are 4 guys that have been hit at least 2 of the sharp sports books. That means their odds to win have improved based on the bets that have come in. Those 4 guys. And I'm going to bring it up on my side, so I got it here. So first guy is Tom Kim, the Phenom. 8,700 on DraftKings. He has been hit at 2 sharp sports books. Patrick Cantlay at the top of the market or near the top of the market, 9,700. He has also been hit at 2 separate sharp sports books. We have Cam Young, who I referenced in my tweet earlier there, helped out. Long driver of the golf ball. This course, we haven't talked much about the course, but there's really no penalty for missing the fairway. It's really wide fairways, favors distance a bit, and Cam Young, big bomber, should help out here in this course. And then Jordan Spieth, who's going to go relatively overlooked. Here he is, 8,200. Getting a lot of love by a lot of handicappers out there that we respect, and as a result, getting moved in the betting market. I imagine I'll have a decent amount of exposure to Jordan Spieth here at $8,200, and not one of the most popular guys, which is always nice. Speaking of that, speaking of the popular guys, let's talk about some of the chalk here as we transition once again. Now, I'm going to go to our Occupy model, occupyfantasy.com. This ranks every golfer, FanDuel, and DraftKings with projected ownership. Right now, I have it sorted by projected ownership on DraftKings. And we see Jon Rahm at the top, 35% projected ownership. No one's going to get super out of control. 35% is pretty high for PGA, but for a 40-man field, it's not that high. So 35%, we project Jon Rahm to be the most popular golfer on the slate. So if you use him, just keep in mind which contests you're using him in and how you create the rest of your lineup around him. Speaking of Spieth, 20% ownership. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11th most popular golfer. That's fine. We are totally fine with that. Let's look at the other guys who were in those sharp betting moves. Tom Kim, oh yeah, depends on the data source you use. He is just 17% projected owned. We love to see that, sub 20%. We have Cantlay, who's near the top of the market. He's 26%, unsurprisingly. And then the final guy that we mentioned was Cam Young. Let's see what Cam Young looks like. 19%. So basically 3 of the 4 guys are at 20% or less, which is what we love to see. When the field is not playing these guys that the betting markets are moving, we'll play them heavily in our DFS lineups. The one guy at the top that is pretty scary in low risk contests, 50-50s, double ups, head to heads, or even small field GPPs is Xander. Now I'm curious to see if his ownership, right now we have him projected for the second highest ownership on DraftKings. I'm curious to see if it drops a little bit with the news that he missed or withdrew from the Pro-Am today on Wednesday and is expected to play, but I guess reports are coming out, and I'm recording this 2 p.m. Wednesday afternoon. Reports just came out that it is in relation to that lingering back injury he was dealing with at the end of the last calendar year. So we never know how backs respond. Backs are tricky. We still have no late swap on DraftKings. So very realistic chance that we get a withdrawal tomorrow morning or even tomorrow afternoon. So just stay tuned. Keep an eye on it. I'm not sure I could play him in any single entry or any low risk lineup as a result. In high risk contests, largest contests, I think you still have to play him normally, and maybe his ownership gets a little, maybe it's shaved off a little bit because of the worry about his back. So largest contests, play him regularly, but the low risk contests, the small field contests, I think it's a little tough to play him with that in the back of your mind. Now we see normally the mark we look at for chalk is 15% or higher, the highest owned guys. Obviously on a 40-man field, about half the field qualifies for that. So tons of guys in this higher range. So just keep in mind as you're building lineups, you're one to listen to and read the daily plug, occupyfantasy.com, the lineup construction tips that Niramata points out, talks about general strategies for different contest types, but then each week he also talks about specific strategies for this event. And it obviously changes for this 40-man no-cut event. So make sure you read that after this video. All right, 5% plays or less. This is going to be a short segment this week because if you look at, let's reverse sort here. Only 3 guys out of 39 project for sub 5% ownership this week. on DraftKings in our model. That's Ryan Brim, Chad Ramey, Ches Reavy. Naturally, if you are new to PGA DFS or not a familiar golf fan, you probably don't know who these guys are, and that's fair. This is a tournament of champions, by the way, and you see all the star-studded field, and we have these guys in here. So normally we want to play at least one 5% guy in all lineups that are small field, large field, not low risk, but any GPP or high risk style setting. But you don't want to force yourself to jam in one of Brem, Ramey, or Reavy. Instead, you can play two sub 10% guys. You can play, maybe limit yourself to just four guys over 20% to get different. Because you don't want to play six guys over 25%. That's going to be a highly duplicated lineup. You want to get different in some way. So I'll talk about some sub 10% guys here that make a ton of sense. At the very bottom, Trey Mullinax is getting a little bit of love in the betting markets. He's a guy that I can consider going overweight on for sure at just 7% projected ownership. We see Sepp Straka here at our partner sportsbook, Sugar House in New Jersey. He has gotten a line move in his favor, so that's hopeful. The two guys that really stand out, though, and I guess one is really 9%. The other guy is at the top of the board. We'll talk about that in a second. But Hideki hasn't played in a while. 9% projected ownership. No one's going to want to play him, but getting some love from handicappers, getting a little bit of love in the betting markets, and knowing a guy of his top form at 9%. Many of the golfers in this field haven't played a ton lately, so not sure how much we can really knock that. But Hideki at sub 10%. One of the keys in PGA DFS, you find guys with great long-term form that are underpriced, underowned because of bias, recency bias, recent form, course fit, whatever it may be. Talent usually wins out. Hideki is very talented, and at sub 9% is a guy that we have to consider. The other one that falls in that same sort of element is Colin Morikawa, who, if you look at all the guys that are 9,300 or higher, they're all 20% plus. Colin sits at just 14% projected ownership in our model. And I've seen some handicappers on him that we respect. And again, he's a guy that we can pay up for and get different when everyone else is paying up for Xander or Cantlay or JT or Rahm or Scotty or even Finau right below him. You can get different and play chalkier with the rest of your lineup with Colin Morikawa. So it's all about balance, balancing the salary and balancing the ownership in PGA DFS. Fortunately, this week isn't that exciting in terms of strategy, in terms of ownership. In future videos, we'll have a lot more 5% guys to talk about, a lot more betting market movement to talk about. But again, this is the first PGA video that in this series that we're doing, so we would love to hear from you. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Obviously, we'd appreciate that. Helps others find the video, lets us know to continue making these videos. But there's something you want to see in future PGA DFS videos. We do this for you guys. So if there's something you want to see, comment below. Oh, I would like to see this in the future. Or I didn't really care about that. I would like to see this. Or what do you think about this? Let us know. If you have any questions, I'll monitor the channel over the next 24 hours. I'll try to get back to you. Join our Discord server. That's the best way to get up-to-date PGA DFS information. Our writer Near Amato will do the Wednesday update today with betting market movement. But then normally late Wednesday nights, probably this week, Thursday, because the slate doesn't start until 2 or 3 p.m. Eastern on Thursday. He'll probably do another Discord update with any late betting market movement he sees. That is invaluable information. The more information we get, the better for our lineups. So make sure you join our Discord, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. The Occupy model, which you see on screen here, is occupyfantasy.com. You can get access. And our daily plug, which has Near Amato's top plays, his lineup strategies, other course, stat, weather information. And if there's one reason you read this plug, is to get access to Near Amato's plays. You see this here, weekly transparency. Near Amato has been writing the plug for us for 3 seasons now. And over the past 3 years, the players that he has written up in the plug have scored 2,500 more fantasy points than they have been expected to score based on their salary. And that is outrageous to me. Just an insane record of plays, of DFS plays. And he does this every single week in the plug. You get access to his plays. You got 5 or 6 more guys. Was it? No, I think 7 guys this week that he really likes. So make sure you check that out. OccupyFantasy.com, the daily plug. Get access to all the sports. We'd love to have you. So before we get out of here, make sure you are subscribed to the channel once again. That obviously helps us out. The more subscribers we get, that's great, of course. But it helps you out as well because we're putting out a lot of videos. You may miss it. Being subscribed is the best way to get notified when these PGA videos are uploaded. NBA, NFL, MMA, other sports are on here as well. Again, thumbs up. We appreciate it. Any questions, comment, let us know. Reach out to us. Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy. Thanks for listening, and good luck at the Sentry Tournament of Champions.